Начинаем выпуск с главной темы этого дня. На месте стрельбы в гимназии Казань даже не пытался прятать ружье. Почему никто из прохожих не сообщил о вооруженном мужчине полицейским? И можно ли было предотвратить трагедию? Жертвами атаки стали 9 человек, 7 из них дети.
Ранены более 20 человек. Стрелок задержан. Им оказался 19-летний Ilnaz Galyaviev.
И интеллигентный юноша, как его характеризовали родные и близкие. Только вот Влад Росляков, так звали керченского стрелка, застрелился при задержании. А вот Илназа Галявиева все же удалось задержать живым, несмотря на то, что он планировал самоубийство, если верить постам в соцсетях.
3 years ago, I reported from Kerch, where another school shooting took the lives of, unfortunately, many more children, and people thought that lessons had been learned.
First of all, I would like to thank again. She was really helpful with this case, so definitely show her some love and follow her on Reddit and YouTube, which I will leave in the description below. At the time of this camera footage, this is 19-year-old Ilnaz Galyaviev, who on May 11th is seen exiting his apartment and heading towards his former school to the Gymnasium number 175 in Kazan, Russia, to commit one of the most heinous crimes imaginable, murdering 8 children and 2 staff members, and injuring more than 23 people. But let's go back to May 4th of 2021. On May 4th, according to the shooter, he received a permit to carry a weapon, and on the same day, he acquired 150 rounds of shotgun ammunition. And on May 4th, Galyaviev also created the God Telegram channel. According to him, he also made an IED at home on May 5th. On the same day, Galyaviev went to the forest to practice shooting, but changed his mind on the spot, out of fear of being noticed. On the morning of May 6, at 4:12 AM, he publishes 2 posts on his Telegram channel, proclaiming himself to be God, following, "As a God, I want you to declare yourselves as my slaves. You have to do absolutely everything I want to. I want you to kill more than 10 and then off yourself. There shouldn't be living creatures in this world. It's the universe's mistake." Following up with a message, "I came to this world in human form to get rid of you all." On the morning of May 6, Galyaviev went to the gymnasia to check the lesson schedule, as he planned to arrange the shooting during the second lesson, but found out that the schools were closed during the May holidays. A non-working day was declared by President Putin, which closed the schools until May 11th, which forced Galyaviev to postpone his plan to May 11th. On May 11th, at about 7:30 in the morning, Galyaviev goes to the school to clarify the schedule for that day. After which, he returns home where he changes and equips himself. Galyaviev also takes 2 photos of himself and publishes them on his God Telegram channel, announcing that he's going to kill people and die. The message follows, "Today, I will kill a huge amount of garbage and then I will shoot myself." Following up with a message, to all of you. Before leaving the house at about 8:30 AM, he tries to set fire to the apartment, but fails. He puts the bomb in one backpack, ammunition the second one, the one behind his back, and loads his shotgun with 8 rounds. He reaches the school within 10 minutes on foot, with his Hudson escort shotgun in his hands, and Galyaviev is seen waving at passing by people. When Galyaviev enters the school grounds, he shoots a 19-year-old former student. He wounds her in the soft tissues of the neck and head. The caretaker, a 60-year-old, comes out of the school to see what was going on outside. Galyaviev shoots at him through the glass door and wounds him in the abdominal region. Then he shoots the already lying caretaker in the head, thinking that he killed him, but he only wounded him. On the first floor of the school, in the corridor, the shooter meets a 55-year-old school teacher who came out to see what was going on. According to the shooter, he shot her twice in the head and killed her on the spot. Not far from this place, the shooter sets fire to the fuse of his bomb, which was in his backpack, and left it near a door to one of the offices in the building. Galyaviev then ran to the second floor, where he left a bag with ammunition in the restroom.
Я не хочу умирать. Знаете, под столы надо. Чё? Мамочки. Вот реально бомбануло что-то. А где еще диктофон? Я не хочу умирать, знаете.
Если умрете, не отвечать.
Не ради этого в школу ходил.
Что-то бомбануло.
Пишите родителям. До свидания.
А что это?
Видите? У меня просто вот там...
Нет, ты бред.
Стреляют, что ли?
Выпуск первый этаж.
Стреляют, видимо.
Then he walked up to the third floor, where he entered the nearest classroom, which had a door opened. Galyaviev then cold-bloodedly murdered 7 students of the grade 8A and wounded 1 more staff member and 6 students. Galyaviev then exited classroom 310 and entered another classroom, where another 26-year-old teacher was, who he also killed on the spot. From the window of this classroom, he saw 3rd grade students doing physical education and opened fire on them. He wounded 6 more students. After that, he returned to classroom 310 to continue shooting, where 2 students jumped out of the window from the 3rd floor and were seriously injured after the fall.
Господи, там кто-то стреляет. Девчонки.
Galyaviev then went down to the first floor again, where according to him, he noticed the police officer at the main entrance door. He decided to surrender, as he realized that in any case he would be detained. Galyaviev then walked out through the main entrance with his hands up and surrendered to the police.
Ебануться. У меня ребенок в школе. Там какой-то Отпустите моего ребенка, моего ребенка! Еще там? Как я начали взрывать? Я не могу! Я торопил! Там просто мы заходим, там ужасный дым, и просто люди лежат. И еще говорят, из окон стреляют, но мы не знаем откуда. Мы закрылись в кабинетах. Сидите под партой. Это в моей школе было, это ужасно. На первом этаже прям под нами взорвали детей. И я сидела прям в кабинете, прям над этим кабинетом. И он ходил по второму этажу и стрелял. Это было очень страшно. Там такой запах гари поднялся и пыли, там детей выносили окровавленных на руках. Мы все спрятались под парты, закрыли кабинет, а он ходил и дергал двери. Если бы мы не закрыли их, наверное, нас бы расстреляли, типа. Это ужасно. Это было очень страшно.
After that, Galyaviev was put under arrest and was interviewed by 2 police deputies. While in custody, Galyaviev said that he planted his bomb at his registered address. However, during a search of his home, no explosives were found and evidence was taken. The red marks on his chest could be the marks left from the recoil of the shotgun. His drugs and alcohol tests were negative. He was clear that day.
Богом, просто осознал я это не сразу, месяца 2 назад я это осознал, а летом у меня начал пробуждаться монстр, я нахуй всех начал ненавидеть, конкретно, я всегда нахуй всех ненавидел, но я еще больше нахуй начал ненавидеть, а может тебе не смей мне приписывать свои психологические экстрасенсорные хуйни, я не долбоеб, я не этот еблан. Кто это? А? Кто это этот еблан? Я не эти ебланы, которым вы приписываете вот это вот, свое субъективное мнение, А вот ты сказал, 2 месяца назад ты осознал, что ты бог, да? Там, да, осознал, что я бог, Может, кто-то тебе сказал об этом? Нет, никто не говорил, я сам осознал, Я впервые это сказал своей маме, У меня мамы нет, я ее Найлей просто называю, И она мне не мать, у меня нету родителей, нету ни матери, Я вас всех ненавижу, Отчим, что ли? А? Отчим? Отчим? Или у меня нету отчим. Ну, свои же родители, которые... Ну, мать, которая тебя родила? Да. Да, или зовут, да? Это не мать, У меня нету матери, я от всех них отказался, Они все это прекрасно знают, я никогда их не называл ни мама, ни папа, А у тебя братишки есть? Сестренка, братишки? Брат, брат. Я тут Наиля, это женщина, которая тебя родила же? Да. Ну, биологическая мать же получается? Да.
Ilnaz Galyaviev was born on September 11th of 2001 in Kazan, Russia. A lot of people speculated that this date has something to do with the 9/11 attack, since Galyaviev attacked the Gymnasium 175 and one of the planes that crashed into the World Trade Center was Flight 175, but it was confirmed that these two tragedies have no correlation. Ever since Ilnaz was a child, it was difficult to get 2 words out of him. Since his early childhood, Ilnaz was withdrawn and had few contacts with anyone. None of the neighbors said anything bad about him or his family. Some residents of the apartment complex have known Ilnaz since his childhood. They described him as a sweet and quiet boy. One of the neighbors said that his dad held Ilnaz by his hand all the time when they went somewhere. They always greeted us when they passed by. They looked like a great family. In general, there's little information about Galyaviev's parents, but it is known that they are not conflicting people. His parents are kind, they never raise their voice at their children. They are well-mannered, we cannot say anything bad about them. But the tragedy deeply shocked all the residents of the apartment complex.
Он мне даже частенько попадался, он шел просто, я иду с работы, и он идет. Очень интеллигентный, такой чистенький, хороший, симпатичный мальчишка. Да, то есть вот прям на лице интеллект.
Раньше я их знала, они очень хорошие, я бы не сказала, что у них семья очень хорошая, интеллигентная, мальчишка тоже хороший, раз мне кажется, это какая-то секта, наверное, попала. И о нем вообще только хорошее мнение было.
The aunt of the Kazan shooter did an interview with a media outlet. She is the closest person to him after his parents. She blames the tragedy on the computer. According to her, Ilnaz was unsociable and spent all of his free time behind his computer. Also, the aunt of the Kazan shooter turned out to be the neighbor of one of the murdered teachers at Gymnasium 175. The interviewer asked questions. Did you know her? Of course, we greeted every time we met. Now, I can't imagine what's on their minds. I'm afraid to go out into the street. How will I look them in the eyes again? Tell us about Ilnaz and his older brother. I often went to visit them, and they came to visit me with the whole family. Everything was fine. They were such nice boys. I didn't even know Ilnaz was like that. I swear, he was such a kind boy. He was always respectful to me. How did Ilnaz and his brother study? They studied well. At every meeting with them, his parents praised them, that their children are exemplary at school. They studied in different classes, but everything was fine. The family is good. I can't say anything bad about them. Weren't they sick with anything serious? No, Ilnaz coughed heavily, but nothing like that serious. We lived nearby, I would have known. What was Ilnaz fond of? He sat at the computer all the time. When I came to visit them, he was always at the computer. His brother was outgoing and sociable. He went skiing, played sports, etc. But Ilnaz did not participate with him. They bought Ilnaz a phone and a computer for him. He sat quietly all the time behind his computer, but at school he studied well. But how was he then expelled from college? Something happened, I don't know what. I don't understand it. I think he was frightened by something. He studied to be a programmer for 3 whole years. Only a little remained before he finished college. The parents themselves did not know that he was expelled. So it turns out that he was hiding it from them? Like I said, his parents didn't know. He said that he was still studying normally. What was Ilnaz striving for? Programming. He always wanted to do repairs. When he came to visit us, if the TV didn't work, he would always fix it. His head worked really well when it came to technology. What kind of relationship did Ilnaz have with his parents? Did he argue with them? We saw on TV how he was shouting that he didn't have a mother or a father. We were all in shock. His parents loved him so much. They bought him everything he ever wanted. Either he was drinking something or someone said something to him. Because this is not the Ilnaz that we know. I never heard him scream that loud before. Did he smoke or drink? No, nobody. Neither his father nor his brother smoked or drank. Why did Ilnaz stay in the old apartment? Initially, the brothers wanted to stay there together. They are already adults. Ilnaz's father did not plan to sell the apartment. After a while, his brother went with his parents to the new apartment, and Ilnaz said that he was used to it and decided to be alone in the old apartment. When I met his father, he told me everything about it. They bought him food, tried to visit him almost every day. Maybe someone bullied Ilnaz at school? I don't know. Usually such things are hidden from relatives. Was Ilnaz religious? We have the Muslim religion in our family, but the brothers did not go to the mosque or were ever forced to be religious. According to the recollections of Gymnasium students, Galyaviev did not participate in public events. He had no friends, Ilnaz wanted to be alone. As the investigators found, 19-year-old Ilnaz Galyaviev was diagnosed with a brain disease. Ilnaz turned to the doctors for help because he complained of severe headaches.
В прошлом году обращался к врачам с сильными головными болями. В настоящее время эта медицинская документация изъята. Нашему подозреваемому был поставлен диагноз. Он свидетельствует о заболевании головного мозга. Уже установлено, что наш подозреваемый, особенно в последнее время, вел себя очень агрессивно по отношению к родным.
Later, media outlets reported that Ilnaz Galyaviev could suffer from encephalopathy, which means damage or disease that affects the brain. It happens when there's been a change in the way your brain works or a change in your body that affects your brain. Those changes lead to an altered mental state, leaving you confused and not acting like you usually do. On February 11th of 2021, Galyaviev began training to obtain a weapon license at the Bar's training center. On March 2nd, he made an order at the Megastroy store. And the next day, a courier delivered 6 kilograms of ammonium nitrate to him. On the same day, he called the auto oil store to clarify the availability of the hydrogen peroxide he needed, but the seller could not accurately answer Ilnaz's questions. On March 4th, he went to the store in person, but the peroxide meeting requirements were not available. On March 9th, he failed a practical shooting test, having committed a violation of safety rules. He looked down the barrel of a pistol while reloading. He had to undergo additional training. And on March 16th, he received a certificate of completion. On April 14th, Galyaviev received the permission to purchase weapons. And on April 16th, he purchased the Hudson Escort PS semi-automatic shotgun. The question is, how did Ilnaz afford this? It is claimed that he sold skins on CSGO and after a while was able to save up enough money.
Что вы про Ильназа скажете?
Ничего не скажу. Кстати, я общаюсь впервые. До свидания, девушка.
Скажите, вы вообще как отреагировали, когда узнали, что произошло?
Ilnaz's father told about his son and the family's life after the massacre. I still haven't seen my son. Investigators say that I won't meet him until he is taken to Moscow for examination. I didn't give up on Ilnaz. How could I? I'm his father. We handed him clothes recently. He was in the same clothes in which he was detained. The investigators don't explain anything to us. They didn't provide us with any protection. Anyone could come today and kill us all. Ilnaz became aggressive since the new year. Usually, there were no oddities. All he could do was slam the door when he got angry. A month and a half ago, it seemed he became more aggressive. I don't know what caused it. We didn't leave him alone. That's a lie. We are redoing our other apartment, so we live here and there. That's why he stayed alone. He was afraid of everything. Paranoid, he didn't even want to learn to drive a car, because it was that scary to him. He covered every mall at home, because he was too afraid of getting cancer. In the first days, we were especially haunted by the journalists. Because of them, we couldn't leave the apartment to buy food. They even turned off the lights for several hours. They pounded on the door. In general, they tortured us. People write to my other son on social networks that we are all murderers. Now, he is never online. The police took his phone away. He doesn't go to university anymore. He was asked to transfer to homeschooling. My wife is still in extreme stress. She doesn't get out of bed. Nobody expressed a single negative word to me. On the contrary, I have a very good team at work. Colleagues support me. I thank them very much. We learned about his brain disease when my son was in the 8th or 9th grade. Ilnaz complained of severe headaches. What would I say to my son when we meet? I'd like to see him very much. I would tell him a couple of affection words. I would scold him hard. I'd look into his eyes one-to-one. On May 12th of 2021, Galyaviev pleaded guilty to murder of 2 or more persons, which carries a sentence of life imprisonment. He was also taken into detention until the 11th of July. On July 21st, mass media reported that he was declared insane, but the investigative committee of Russia refuted this information. Officially, his examination will be finished on the 26th of July. It means a compulsory treatment awaits. He can be transferred to an outpatient treatment, and he may be home in 5 or 10 years if the doctors decide that he is a no longer danger to society. Later, Ilnaz Galyaviev was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. An interview with the Kazan shooter. The interview was taken on July 15th of 2021 in Moscow, the Butyrka detention facility, by Eva Merkacheva, an employee of the Public Oversight Commission and a journalist. On the next day, the shooter was transported to Moscow to the Serbsky Forensic Psychiatric Institution. Ilnaz Galyaviev was in a black tracksuit, short and thin. He looked like a teenager, but with a mustache and a beard. His expression looked lifeless and a little painful. His eyes are indifferent. He barely shows any interest in what is happening around him. In Kazan, he was registered as a person that prone to suicide. In Moscow, in the Butyrka Psychiatric Hospital, he behaves more than just calmly. And this isn't due to the drugs. The hospital doesn't provide any treatment for him. He is in transit here. He will go to the Serbsky Center, where a full-fledged forensic medical psychiatric examination will be carried out. All prisoners before the examination must visit the so-called cat house, the Butyrka Psychiatric Hospital, and then come back. How did you get that scar on your face? This one? I got it in my childhood. I was cut with a straight razor. I turned abruptly and cut myself, so it's old. I have a fresh injury on my arm. When I was apprehended, I tried to bite through. When I realized everything, the wound doesn't heal. Why? Because they sharply twisted my hands behind my back. My back also hurts. I climbed onto the cage and jumped upside down to smash my head in. In the end, I hit my lower back. How were you transported to Moscow? Did you have any problems along the way? I was transported by a train, in a carriage for prisoners. Inside there are cells instead of a compartment. I was alone in the cell. They gave me food and water. Everything was fine. Arrived in Moscow on June 12th. They put me in a ward with a man. He is 50 years old. He talks and talks all the time. It is difficult for me to be around him. I love silence. Can I be transferred to a solitary ward? You will go to the Serbsky Center anyway. Will I be alone in a ward there? Galyaviev sounded worried. Perhaps. It depends on the doctor's decision. I want to be alone, Galyaviev repeats. Will I go from the center to Kazan back? I want to go back to my hometown. I'm afraid to stay in Moscow. Why? Is there something wrong with you here? No, it's okay here. Everything is fair here. I just want to go home. In Kazan, the pretrial detention center, the food is tastier than here in Butyrka. In the morning, there's a porridge with milk. Borscht at lunchtime, and in the evening, pasta with canned fish. In Kazan, I had money on the account of the detention facility. I could buy chocolate and candy in the prison store. They gave it to me at lunchtime. What do you need? Have you been given a hygiene kit? They gave me a toothpaste and a toothbrush, but they didn't give me a razor. Usually, I shave once or twice a week. Will they give it to me? They will, but a safe one. What about the letters? Do they reach you? During all the time that I have been behind bars, I received 2 letters from strangers in Kazan. I wrote a letter to my parents. Probably the answer has already came and is waiting for me in Kazan. They are worried. I think especially my father. He handed me clothes to the pretrial detention facility. I have never heard or seen them. Calls and dates are prohibited so far. Do you want to continue your studies behind bars? Do you know that this is possible? I don't want to study the major. I had studied IT. There are no computers behind bars. Well, you shouldn't think so. There are computer training classes so that prisoners can study. No, I don't want to. I have dreamed of becoming an investor, investing in stocks, but I don't want to think about my studies and the future right now. I just want to read. The Butyrka cell contains parables about the warrior of light and a book on psychology, but I would like Stephen King. He writes atmospheric. Can I get it somehow? There is Stephen King in the Butyrka library, but you will leave tomorrow, so it has to be handed over to you in the Serbsky Center. What exactly do you want? The Shinning. It's a novel about inner fears. Are you sure? The Shinning and something of your choice. In general, I want to say that I'm no longer aggressive. I am calm. I would also like to read Jack London. The Kazan shooter has repeated several times that he only wants to read and be in solitude. His favorite novel, The Shinning, says that loneliness itself can be fatal. The employees of the Federal Service also think so. According to the internal rules, suicidal people are never put in a cell without neighbors. It is believed that such people should always be under the supervision of inmates or a video eye. Galyaviev does not look like a madman. He did not show any aggression in our communication. In the Serbsky Center, the shooter will spend 30 days undergoing examinations. He would be monitored around the clock throughout the month. Experts would assess everything: how he behaves, how he sleeps, how he eats, and how he makes contact, how he expresses his thoughts, and daily conversations in one way or the other will be related to what he has done. It's important for experts to understand whether he was sane at the moment, whether he was realizing himself in the time and space, who he was and who he felt he was, and what he has experienced. There would be tests and much more to find out what was going inside his head. Well, after that, the usual route: Butyrka and the pretrial detention center of the city of Kazan. Ilnaz Galyaviev Guilt. I just hated the world. I did it with hatred. According to the human rights activist, the accused didn't receive the results of the forensic psychiatric examination, but claims that he feels sane now. Perhaps at the time of the attack, I was insane, but now I'm sane, and I repent. I admit my guilt. The human rights activist clarified that the arrested person is being held in a pretrial detention center, in a 3-bed cell. He has 2 neighbors. One is accused of murder and the other of robbery. According to him, his relationship with his inmates are okay. Galyaviev complained to the POC that he didn't receive letters for a long time, said that he wanted to return to Kazan, and hoped that the investigators would allow him to meet with his parents. In addition, the accused said that in Moscow he received 2 parcels, one in a pretrial detention center and the other in the Serbsky Center, where he underwent a forensic psychiatric examination. The second interview with the Kazan shooter by the Public Oversight Commission, who checks if all prisoners' rights are respected. This is our second meeting with Ilnaz. Seems like being in the psychiatric hospital Butyrka was good for him. He looks calm. He calls it the same as other patients, the cat house. Ilnaz, we saw you here, at Butyrka, before you were taken to the Serbsky Center. We couldn't go and check the conditions of the detention. Although you asked, how were you treated there? Fine, I was there in separate isolation. There were 2 beds in the cell, but I was kept alone, and alone I was taken for walks. In general, I was always alone. It was hard at first, but then I got used to it. Doctors asked me all sorts of questions, that's all. The doctors later said that I was insane. I wrote about this to a letter to a girl, but then I found out that everybody is already talking about it. How did they know? But there's no official conclusion yet. Have you seen it? No? You can write a statement that you want to be acquainted with the results of the forensic psychiatric examination. You have a right to do so. Thank you for clarifying it. I will write. But the doctors wouldn't lie to me, would they? Sorry, we don't answer such questions. You must talk to your lawyer. What lawyer? I have never seen him here. I don't think I even have one. Someone came from the law enforcement and gave me a paper so that I would refuse a lawyer whom I hadn't seen with my own eyes, because my parents didn't like the lawyer. But I need a lawyer because I have many questions. You returned to Butyrka almost 10 days ago. What are the conditions here? In the cat house, I am in a free bed cell. Relationships with my neighbors are okay. They don't threaten me and I'm not afraid of them. With one cellmate, we became friends. By the way, he wrote letters to you in the POC. Didn't he get it? He has a problem. His arm was broken in the IVS. He also told me about the mental hospitals for the compulsory treatment of criminals. Seems I already know everything about it from his lectures. Why do you need this? They'll take me there. If they say, choose 25 years in a psychiatric hospital or a life sentence, I would choose a life sentence. Why? I don't want to become a vegetable. By the way, they gave me some drugs at the cat house. I must say, you look good. I felt fine even without the treatment. I have to ask you, I don't want to go to the Kazan hospital. Can I go elsewhere? Why? In Kazan, everybody remembers what I did. Revenge is possible. We cannot influence the choice of the place of treatment for the prisoner, but you have a right to declare your concerns to the court. Good. Do you receive parcels, letters? Nobody gives me anything. There was money in my personal account. I made an order, I don't remember what it was. The food is basically normal here, but there's a lack of candy. You are completely bald. Is it really compulsory to have this haircut? No, I asked to go to a hairdresser, but they gave me a hair clipper. So my cellmate did my hair. Usually, I cut my own hair with a hair clipper, but he helped. My wounds are almost healed. They don't hurt. So, all is well. Only, the librarian doesn't come. There are books in the cell, but I don't like them. You promised to bring Stephen King's The Shining last time. Sorry, but the psychologists don't recommend it to you. Then Jack London if possible. He is in the library of the Pretrial Detention Center. There are generally 10,000 books, and Jack London's complete collection. They'll give you everything you want. Thanks. While I'm going to watch TV entertainment programs, I also asked you to send me home to Kazan as soon as possible. My parents could come visit me there. I really want to see them. Highlights from the meeting between the shooter and his lawyer. He has no complaints about his maintenance. There's a remark about the parcels. He didn't receive them. Although Ilnaz's relatives show me documents confirming that they had handed it to him. He didn't express any thought that would make me worry about him. He looks completely adequate in my opinion. He received only 2 letters from strangers because the authorities had stopped bringing him letters from strangers for a while. There's a huge amount of girls who send him letters and money. Many of them believe he is innocent. The fans of the Kazan shooter hired a lawyer for him. According to the media reports, 11 female organizers are collecting donations for a lawyer for the shooter. The group consists of 3,000 people who donate money. The girls claim that they want an honest investigation and believe that Ilnaz Galyaviev is innocent or particularly guilty. They point out that they aren't fans. So far, they have raised $4,000. The shooter's lawyer didn't comment and didn't confirm this information. Since I have been following this group for a long time, I want to say that they are mostly underage girls. The legend about an honest investigation was created for cover, so that there would be no problems with the law. The administrators themselves write things like, "Let's raise money for candy for our sweet boy." Followers make edits, pictures, and stickers with the shooter. On the 17th of December of 2021, in the Kazan court, Ilnaz Galyaviev was charged under 4 articles of criminal code of the Russian Federation. which was murder, attempted murder of 2 or more persons, including minors, committed in a generally dangerous way, production and storage of explosives and an explosive device, and deliberate destruction and damage to someone else's property. The period of his detention was also extended until April 11th of 2022. The investigative committee informs it was established that Galyaviev, armed with a hunting rifle and an explosive device that he had previously made, attacked the teachers and students of the Gymnasium on May 11th of 2021. As a result of the shots he fired and the detonation of an explosive device, 9 people died, including 7 children. In total, more than 600 people were recognized as victims, including minors. According to the materials of the criminal case, the cause of the tragic events was the desire of Galyaviev to imitate the actions of one of the destructive subcultures, information about which he obtained from the internet, copying their behavior during the attack. In accordance with the conclusion of the comprehensive psychological and psychiatric examination, Galyaviev was recognized as sane and subject to criminal liability. Galyaviev admitted guilt in full and repented for what he has done. Likely, the trial will start in the spring of 2022, since he faced his final charges on December 17th of 2021.
Вы совершили нападение на гимназию? Вы были один?
Да, я один совершил, никто меня не подстрекал, ни в какой секте не стоял, я делал все сам.
Подскажите, пожалуйста, признаете вину по всем 4 статьям обвинения?
Да.
Готовы что-то сказать родным выживших, погибших? Раскаиваетесь?
Конечно, раскаиваюсь, но эти слова не вернут погибших.
Ну, прощения можете попросить?
Прошу прощения, извините меня за то, что я сделал.
Ильназ, скажите, пожалуйста, жалобы какие-то есть на условия содержания, питания, общаться вам дают с родственниками в каком-то формате?
Ну, условия у меня нормальные. Я с отцом разговаривал неделю назад. Но у меня, я не знаю, питание хорошее.
Чем в изоляторе занимаетесь?
Читаю книжки.
Какие?
Разные. Какие дают, такие читаю.
Что-то могло вас остановить? Вот в тот момент, когда вы шли, когда задумывали, что-то могло?
Много чего могло меня остановить на самом деле. Но у меня просто тогда такое психическое состояние было. В институте сербского мне поставили диагноз параноидная шизофрения. В 6-й больнице меня признали вменяемым.
Ждете суда?
Да.
Спасибо.
And that about does it for the case of Ilnaz Galyaviev. He will be put into a mental hospital or serve a life sentence in prison. Either way, a dark and unpleasant future waits for him. Thank you for watching.